Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we will cover one of the most important skills in SQL, that is how to insert data into tables. I will walk through the real examples and explain each line of code step by step. Now let's jump in. Let's do a quick recap first. What is a table? In SQL, table is like a spreadsheet that has rows and columns, and each row represents a single record and each column holds a certain information. As shown in this example, student is our table and the columns here are ID, name, subject and score, where we store the information about Harry, Bob and Jack. SQL insert into a statement. The SQL insert into a statement is used to add new data to a table in a database. Insert into methods. There are two different methods to use insert into a statement. One is by inserting values to all the columns and the other is inserting data into specific columns. We can choose these methods as per our requirements. Now let's discuss each of them more in detail. Method 1. Inserting values to all the columns. This method is used when we want to insert data into all the columns without specifying column names. However, we should make sure that the order of the values is in the same order as the columns of the table. The syntax for this method is insert into a statement, then the name of the table where our data will be inserted, then the values that we want to insert into our column of the table. Now let's go in SQL Workbench and practice this. Yes, we are in our SQL Workbench environment. Now let's practice SQL insert into a statement with examples. First, let me show how to create insert data into all columns. For that, we have to make a database first. So let me create a database named collegedb. So I will write create database and the name of the database, that is collegedb, and semicolon. Let's save and run this and I will refresh this. See, I have created the database name collegedb. Now I want to use this database. For that I will use and then the name of the database, that is collegedb, and then semicolon. I will save and then now I will create a table named students. So create table inside this collegedb database, and then the name of the table I will give students parenthesis, and I'm going to give the name of the columns. Let's say ID, and I will give int here, and I will assign this as a primary key. Comma, and next column is name, and I will give varchar, and I will give length as 60, comma, and the another column is department, and I will give varchar, and the length I will give, let's say 100, and comma, and the last column is age. I'll give integer and then semicolon. So we have write the query for creating a table. Now let's run this, and yes, and I'm going to refresh this. So inside the table I have created students, and in the table students we have the columns like ID, name, department and age, right? Now, so if we do this, we'll see the table and we have the columns as ID, name, department and age, but we don't have values inside the row. So we want to insert the values in this table. So let's insert the values. I will close this. So let's insert the values in the table students. Insert and then into students, that's the name of table, and we want to insert the values for ID, all of the columns, name, department, and then age. And then I'll close this parenthesis and I will give values, and for ID I will give 101, and for name I will give, let's say, Jack. For department I will give computer, and then for age I will give 20, close this parenthesis and then semicolon. Now let's save and run this. Let's refresh this. Okay, now let's see our table. See, we have inserted this value in our table. So this is how we insert data into all the columns. And here we should be careful for the order of the column and the order of the values we are inserting. Hence this command insert new values of Jack into our table students. Now suppose we are inserting data to all the columns but we don't want to give the column names. At that time we can simply insert values in the order of the columns as our table. Let me give an example. In this same code, let's write our query. Insert into students and then values and I will give the 102 comma Harry and then medical and then 23 and close this and semicolon. Here I have not given the ID, name, department and age. So let's run this. Now let's see the table. See, we have inserted this data of Harry. The second method is inserting data into a specific column. This method is used when we want to insert data into only certain columns, leaving the remaining columns empty or with its default values. In that case, we have to specify the column names. The syntax for this method is insert into table name, which is the name of our table. Then we mention the columns like column 1, column 2, which is the name of our first column, second column and so on. Then we give values for each specific columns. Now let's practice this in SQL commands and see. Here we are on the same page. Now let's practice for inserting data into a specific column. So we have our table, this students. In this table, let's say we want to insert only ID, name and department, but not the age column. Now for that, we will write here insert into students, name of table, and then I will give the column names like ID, name and then department and then close this parenthesis and then values and for ID I will give 103, let's say, and for name I will give Bill, and for department I can give like literature. and then close this parenthesis and semicolon. Now let's run and see our table. And I'm going to refresh this. So let's see this. See, we have inserted the values into ID, name and department, but not in the age. Here, if we do not enter any values, the null is seen. Hence, this is how we can insert data into specific column. Let's see how to insert into multiple rows at once. Instead of writing multiple insert into query, we can simply insert multiple rows in one statement. So this will be more easy, efficient, and it reduces time for the database operation. The syntax for this is insert into table name and then name of the columns and then values and the values to give to our columns. Now let's go and practice in SQL query. Again, we are on the same page. Now let's practice for inserting into multiple rows at once. So I'm going to use this earlier database and table. So let's write a query for inserting multiple rows at once. Therefore, insert into students and then ID, name, department and then age, close the parenthesis, and I will give values and let me copy this and I will give this 4 and name I will change to Jack. Sorry, I have already given Jack. Let's say Bob. And then department is biology and age is 21, and instead of this I will give this one and I'll paste again and I can change to 5. Name I will give Mary. Department like chemistry and age, let's leave this as 23, and again I will write 106 and the name is, let's say, Rose, and math, and I will give as 22 and then semicolon. So here we should make sure that each values is separated with a comma. Now let's save and run this. And we will refresh here and we will see the table. See, we have inserted all the values in our table at once. So this method is faster as compared to writing multiple insert into commands. And yeah, so this much for today. We have practiced different methods of inserting data into SQL tables. If you like this tutorial, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.